Good morning, brothers and sisters all over the world and in America, and welcome to our morning heart devotion. I will be your MC for the next 10 days. And to start off our day, as always, let us offer a bow to our Heavenly Parent and True Parent. 천지인 참부모님께 경배. 바로. And now for a family pledge, I'd like to invite Reverend Mohan.
가정맹세 1. 천혜연극 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 본향 땅을 찾아 본연의 창조의 상인 지상 천국과 천상 천국을 장건할 것을 맹세하나이다. 2. 천혜연극 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 하늘 부모님과 참 부모님을 모시어 천주의 대표적 가정이 되며 중심적 가정이 되어 가정에서는 효자, 국가에서는 중심, 세계에서는 성인, 천주에서는 성자의 가정의 도리를 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 3. 천혜연극 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 4대 심정권과 3대 왕권과皇族권을 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 4. 천혜연극 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 하늘 부모님의 창조의 상인 천주대 가족을 형성하여 자유와 평화와 통일과 행복의 세계를 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 5. 천혜연극 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 매일 주체적 천상세계와 대상적 지상세계의 통일을 향해 전진적 발전을 촉진화할 것을 맹세하나이다. 6. 천혜연극 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 하늘 부모님과 참 부모님의 대신 가정으로서 찬원을 움직이는 가정이 되어 하늘의 축복을 주변에 연결시키는 가정을 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 7. 천혜연극 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 본연의 혈통과 연결된 위하는 생활을 통하여 심정문화 세계를 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 8. 천혜연극 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 천혜연극 시대를 맞이하여 절대신앙, 절대사랑, 절대복종으로 신인의 일체 이상을 이루어 지상천국과 천상천국의 해방권과 석방권을 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다.
Thank you so much, Reverend Mohan.
Diane, you got muted? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Reverend Milhan, for our family pledge. And now for our opening prayer, I'd like to invite Dr. Johnny Sunborn. If you could please unmute and pray for us.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. Let us be in an attitude of prayer. Hello, Heavenly Parents. I'm so happy that you have joined us for this heart devotion, which was established by our national team, centered on our President, Naokimi Yoshiroda, at the request of our Continental Director, Dr. Chong Shik Yang. Dr. Yong then took leadership, declaring that participation in this devotion is Jongson toward the restoration of America as the elder son nation in your providence for restoration. In addition to the hunduk of hearing two mothers' words and sometimes two fathers, Dr. Yong prepares and gives guidance for our spiritual and intellectual growth and our practical life centering on relationships. He has been teaching us that in witnessing for total salvation, we must first form a relationship with another of your children before offering your words of life. This means we must serve, listen, and touch the heart. Dr. Yong listens to each of us when we share publicly, always appreciating, loving, and often giving precise, on-the-spot guidance. Heavenly Parent, I'm so grateful that you, through our true mother, have sent Dr. Yong here in the position of our Father and for this heart devotion. These Heavenly Parents, let each of us receive the words from heaven and let them impact our hearts and minds and give us inspiration for our actions today. I report this prayer to you in my name, John Andrew Sullivan, Central Best Family. Aju.
Aju, thank you so much, Johnny Sunborn. I am so moved by your almost and sincere prayer. Thank you so much. Thank you, Johnny. God bless you. Please be healthy and strong.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Johnny Sunborn, for that wonderful prayer to start today. And brothers and sisters, it's time to go into our breakouts and share our gratitudes for this morning. So let us go into our breakouts and we'll see you back in a few minutes. All right, welcome back, everyone. Thank you for sharing your gratitudes this morning. It's always such a great way to start the day. And yes, now for our first sharing, I'd like to invite Uncle Ibrahim Ahmed, if you could please unmute and share with us your gratitude this morning.
Good morning, everyone. As every day, my first gratitude is going to morning devotion, because morning devotion it do something great to us. It's connect us. We are brother and sister, and when you open your eyes and see all these beautiful faces, this is something great. And I'm very grateful for our leadership. That second generation took up the responsibility and becoming our leader. Our son and daughter becoming our leader, teachers. That's something great. Yesterday, we have a meeting with Naokimi and Resfred, and that meeting is great. That Naokimi and Resfred, our leader, they do something great. And whenever I see Naokimi and see how he love us as his in a position of his parents, love us and guide us and help us to understand our mission. That's beautiful. When you see your son greater than you, that's something great. And that's why I'm very grateful for the leadership of Naokimi. And this is remind me the first thing I thought about when I become a state leader, who will become coming state leader is the second from the second generation in Vermont, and I start working with them, helping them to just do something for our movement here. I'm very grateful for our second generation, and I'm very happy to be here and be alive. As Diane said, being alive is a big thing. Being alive to come here this morning, this is a great. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibrahim Ahmed. Wow, thank you so much for your sharing. Whenever I see your face, I'm so excited. My heart is jumping. I have a longing heart to be there, and I also really miss your wife as well. And then please, Ibrahim, and take care of our former state leader Alex well. So please keep and take very well and produce good result. Thank you, Ibrahim Ahmed. 감사합니다.
Thank you, Uncle Ibrahim, for sharing with us this morning. And yes, being alive is such a great thing, right? We thank God every day for being alive. So thank you for sharing with us. And now for our next sharing, I'd actually wanted to invite Aunt Amy Malonga or Rangala, if you could please share your gratitude for this morning.
Morning, Dr. Yong. Good morning, everyone. Diana surprised me. Anyway, thank you. Yes, my gratitude point today is when I reflect upon being a Central Blessed family, I'm really grateful for that, because when I look at what is happening in the world today, you can feel like so many frustration. But I'm grateful because I have God, I have true parents, I have something I can stick on, even though if you look at the world, you can feel like it is hopeless, but I have something which gives me hope, because when I believe to divine principle, when I try to understand divine principle, which try to make a meaning to everything which is happening, give me an answer. So I'm really grateful, and I can give hope to others. Because sometimes when I share with friends, they ask themselves, where are we going? So many things are happening, and people are becoming, day by day, they're becoming hopeless. But I can give hope to myself and to others, because I can give a meaning to what is happening because of what I received from God and true parents. So I'm really grateful for that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Amy Langala. You always make me smile and inspire me so much. Today, I love your hair fashion. Maybe it took a long time, but it is very beautiful. Maybe 10 years younger than before. Wow, beautiful, Amy Langala. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yong.
Thank you, Anemi, for sharing. I know it was a surprise, but I think God wanted you to share it today because it was very straight to the point and beautiful. So thank you. And now, brothers and sisters, it is time for internal guidance. So please let us open our hearts and our mind and welcome our Continental Director, Dr. Chongshik Yong.
안녕하세요. Good morning, good morning. My dear brothers and sisters, clergy and ambassador for peace, 안녕하십니까? Today, excited to see new MC, our Diane. Thank you. Today, I'd like to talk about women will play a leading role in the ideal world 2 from True Mothers Anthology Volume 2. Let's start it.
Women will play a leading role in the ideal world too. Ladies and gentlemen, what was the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil that God told Adam and Eve not to eat? It was not the fruit of an actual tree. The fruit signified the love that would bring the ancestors of humanity together as husband and wife in the future. While they were still immature, God gave the commandment so that they would not be seduced into an illicit sexual relationship with a third party or a premature sexual relationship with each other. As a matter of fact, there was a third party in the Garden of Eden. Besides Adam and Eve, there was the archangel. The Bible reveals that the archangel that seduced Eve and made her commit the sin of illicit love was named Lucifer. This was the fall, and this is the original sin that set down the roots of evil in the human world. In the garden, the first human beings committed sexual sin before God, their heavenly parent, and the Lord of heaven and earth. Beginning with our first ancestors, we have continued to make a world of evil in which we give birth to descendants through illicit love. Expanding from the individual to the family, tribe, people, nation, and world, the lineage of evil brought about by this illicit relationship between man and woman has spread, making this world a hell on earth filled with crimes, wars, and fear. The fallen ancestors, Adam and Eve, who were to have firmly established the position of true parents as the eternal human ancestors of goodness, instead were degraded and became false parents who left behind a lineage of evil. This is the first cause of the misery and tragedy borne by all of humankind. What could be more miserable and more mortifying than for all humanity to lose the true parents and be born as descendants of the false parents? How great would be the sorrow and anguish of God, the parent of humankind. God's original purpose of creation was to establish the true ancestors of humanity and multiply people of goodness. However, all humankind was swallowed up by the illicit lineage of evil because of the fall of our first ancestors.
Yes. What is the first cause of the misery and tragedy borne by all of humankind? It is the first human ancestor Adam and Eve committing sexual sin before God. Their heavenly parents and the Lord of the heaven and earth, and making a world of evil in which we give birth to descendants through illicit love. Due to the illicit sexual fall with the archangel Adam and Eve, who were to have multiplied God's royal family lineage, left behind a lineage of servants' children, causing the greatest sorrow to God. This is the greatest sadness things. God's lineage, royal family lineage becomes, servant's lineage. This is really terrible things. Can you imagine about that? Adam and Eve came from God's royal family lineage. Because of the fall, they become the lineage of the servant. how really, sorrowful, how much this is a miserable and tragedy, my brothers and sisters. So man's biggest crime against God is violating God's heart. Sexual sin is not just only falling externally and sexually, but internally, it is violating God's heart. In spiritual world, it is said that the sin of the violating one's heart is greater than the sin of the fornication. What is a heart violation? You have betrayed your parents' love. Adam and Eve betrayed the love of their heavenly parents. How can human beings betray such a God, even though God invested his whole heart and soul and sacrifice to create human beings through love? In the end, I need to know that my ignorance of how much God loves me has ultimately led to a great sin. Then how can we free ourselves from the sin of the human beings violating God's heart? It is returning to God with the heart of the filial piety and serving him. Only this way, my brothers and sisters. If anyone has the heart filial piety of absolute faith and absolute love and absolute obedience toward God, they would never fall or violate God's heart. Therefore, do not betray God under any circumstances. Do not betray your own parents. Do not betray your spouse. Fornication is a betrayal of a loved one. So the sin of the fornication is a sin of the violating one's heart. And it is a dirtiest sin, my brothers and sisters. Misusing heart, violating heart. This is really terrible sin. God loved me so much. God sacrificed so much. God invested in me so much, more than anything else. How can I betray God? This is violating God's heart. This is the greatest sin. How can I betray my own father and mother and love my horizontal friend, love about the horizontal environment, school teacher more than my own father and mother? How can I betray my own father and mother? My brothers and sisters. The word, rather than struggling, the secret for human beings to escape the fallen world and not return on the path of the fall is to simply experience how much God has invested and sacrificed for my sake and love me. In conclusion, we can escape sin as much as we know and experience God's love. If you truly realize, God, how much you love me, if you really realize that, then you can escape from the sin. You can protect about yourself. This is a very important issue, my brothers and sisters. How much God is God of the sorrow. To understand God's sorrowful heart, Father said, you need to know that the greatest God's love, God how much love each one of the human beings, God how much love his own children. If you realize and experience God's greatest love, nobody commits sin. To avoid the sin, you need to realize that God how much loves me. If you know your parents how much love each one of the children, nobody betray. If you know God how much loves me, if you know my parents how much loves me, how can you betray? Betray means what? This is violating heart. Violating heart. Therefore, what we need to know is that the things that God hates the most is the violation, which is a betrayal of his heart. Violation, betray. Externally is degrading God's lineage. When God looks upon those who know the principle yet lose their purity and fall once again, he feels deeper pain and greater suffering than when Adam and Eve fell. My brothers and sisters, the fall of man is a betrayal of heart and love of God. Betray. Fallen man is God's betrayer. How can I betray my wife? How can I betray my husband? How can I betray my own father and mother as a children? Cannot. There is many issues. Children betray. Own children betray their own parents. The fall of man is a betrayal of the heart and love of God. If Adam and Eve knows that, how much God loved Adam and Eve. Then first the son and first the daughter. How can betray heart of God, love of God? This is a violation, my brothers and sisters. Living divine principle, the human heart as viewed through the spiritual and physical minds. Let's study EDP.
The spirit mind, the physical mind, and their relationship in the human mind. The relationship between the spirit mind and the physical mind is like that between internal nature and external form. When they become one through give and take action with God as their center, they form a united functioning entity which guides the spirit self and physical self to become harmonious and progress toward the purpose of creation. This united entity is the mind of a human being. The conscience is that faculty of the human mind which, by virtue of its inborn nature, always directs us toward what we think is good. However, as the standard of goodness in fallen human beings varies, the standard of their conscience also fluctuates. This causes frequent contention even among those who advocate a conscientious life. The original mind is that faculty of the human mind which pursues absolute goodness. The original mind relates to the conscience as internal nature to external form. A person's conscience directs him to pursue goodness according to the standard he has set up in ignorance, even though it may differ from the original standard. However, the original mind repels this faulty standard and works to correct the conscience. As long as our spirit mind and physical mind are under the bondage of Satan, the functioning entity they form through their give and take action is called the evil mind. The evil mind continually drives people to do evil. Our original mind and conscience direct us to repel the evil mind. They guide us in desperate efforts to reject evil desires and cling to goodness by breaking our ties with Satan and turning to face God.
Let's study Father's word.
Open the door of your heart and look at nature while feeling your original heart. Within your life of faith, sometimes when you pray alone at night, as your heart quietly settles, when you look at the world of nature, or when you seriously open the gates of your heart, you can feel your original mind well up from your heart. When you are able to look at the world of nature with this mindset, you can directly experience the feeling of the entire natural world existing for your sake. When you pray like this, you will naturally come to bow your head and say, "Thank you, Father." You will be able to feel that this sort of prayer is nobler than any sort of prayer arising from the feelings of humans.
Yes. Within our life of faith, one of the most important things is how we can open the gates of our heart and feel God's heart and well up from our original mind. For example, you should be able to quietly settle your heart at night as you look at the world of the nature alone and seriously open the gates of your heart and feel your original mind well up from your heart as you look at the world of nature. You need to directly experience the feeling of the sun, moon, and stars, the entire natural world that God created existing for your sake. God created existing for your sake. And the countless heavenly bodies also existing for your sake. We need to be able to feel the moment we open the gates of our heart, look at the world of nature through our original mind, and bow our heads before countless heavenly bodies and pray. Thank you, Father. Such beautiful world, incredible world. Really admire God's creation. You know, this is a kind of like a noble prayer when we can have a heartistic exchange with God more than any other time. My brothers and sisters, while looking at all things, when we always admire the mystic of God's creation and feel the greatness of His creation, we can become more artistically closer to God. Ultimately, tourism is about being moved by the mystic and the greatness of God's creation and upgrading my heart. So, as parents, while visiting tourist destinations together with the children, we need to educate our children artistically so that they can praise God. I think tour is very important, not just only external tour, really admire God's nature, really appreciate the nature. Wow, really incredible. You know, when I saw the Grand Canyon was such beauty, I really speechless how much beautiful it is. God's creation. Everything exists for me. Thank God. That's why whenever you see the beautiful nature and an ocean and star and moon, cannot deny God does exist. So when we artistically give and receive with the nature centered on our original mind, it is healing for the soul, our spirit, and we can be comforted. God wants to give human beings infinite comfort through nature. That's why when we deal with the nature, and then we can have a healing experience, and then our original mind, we can wake up our original mind and closer to heavenly parents. That's why tourism, it is important not just only enjoy your eyes. Understand what I mean? Whenever you see the nature and ocean and star and moon, Grand Canyon, whatever, what's the purpose of the tourism? How can I appreciate more God's, creation? And how can I have the closer relationship with God more than before through my original mind? That's why you need to go to the, some beautiful place and nature together with your children. Sometimes go to sea and the ocean and go to the mountain and then many beautiful area. Really appreciate God's creation. And through this kind of way, we can cultivate our heart. This is an important point. One of the best way to cultivating our original heart and mind, you need to see God's nature. you can have the healing experience. Sometimes when I go somewhere here, New Jersey area and New York area, and see the beautiful tree and nature, I just get into the nature, I can feel like a healing experience. God really comfort me so much. Just seeing the tree and seeing the beautiful lake, already healing experience. God healing. God, your nature is healing my heart. I cannot deny God that exists. God comfort me through the nature. That's why one of the best way to really cultivating my original mind and heart, you need to see the nature. That's why Father asked to go to ocean often, need to see the mountain. That's why you need to bring your children often and together with the father and mother and children together, see the nature. And not just only externally just admire. You need to relate to God's creation. Today's youth ministry, God's love is always fair and true. Let's start.
Fallen man discriminates depending on the other person. If everyone lives for the sake of others with a sincere heart, you experience what it means to be true and gain strength. However, when we look at our own lives, we fail to do that. We are not making good circular movements with each other, but often discriminate depending on the other person and ignore them. This is where all mankind becomes false. When you live with standards that depend on the other person and the environment while calculating your advantages, you come to discriminate. We must know ourselves well. Is my life really making true circular movements? We must ask ourselves if we really treat others as we would ourselves. When parents see people that are delightful to them, they make their children greet them. What this means is that the children should have a relationship with this person just as they have a good relationship with their parents.
Yes. If everyone lives for the sake of others with a sincere heart and without discrimination, whether we deal with ourselves or others, we experience that sincerity is and surely gain strength. However, often discriminate depending on the other person and ignore them. This is where all mankind become false. Do you really treat your own children, the children of others, without discrimination? Do I treat my neighbor and myself without discrimination? Then why do fallen people have a discriminatory heart when dealing with the people? You know what? It is because fallen people are always self-centered. It is because we always live centered on standards of our fallen self, depending on the other person and the environment, all the while calculating advantages. Therefore, we must know ourselves very, very well. We must ask ourselves if we really treat others as we would treat ourselves. Fallen human beings' biggest flaw, weak point is saying that we live for the sake of others, but in the end, we love ourselves more. But true love is loving and sacrificing more for other person, other partner. Even if it means sacrificing oneself. Next.
Things to be careful about when educating children. We must educate children well. When educating children, if parents become a model of how to deal with anyone sincerely without discrimination, then the children will grow to treat others' grandmothers like their own grandmother, others' parents like their own parents, and others' younger siblings like their own younger siblings, and realize that they have to love them too. We should teach circular movement to make relationships amicable and harmonious, like this. Yet, because fallen people are false, we often deal with others with discrimination. Faith is having circular movement with each other, centered on the heart. However, the problem is that we discriminate while having faith. This makes us extremely false selves. The principle teaches us to love Cain.
We must educate children well. When educating children, parents need to raise them by becoming a model of how to deal with anyone sincerely without discrimination. Then children will grow to treat others' grandmothers like their own grandmother, others' parents like their own parents, and others' younger siblings like their own younger siblings, and realize that they have to love them too. My brothers and sisters, true values do not change or discriminate. Why do people like gold? It is because gold delivers the same value wherever it goes, no matter what environment it is in. Whether it is buried in a dirty place or in the hands of the unimportant person, gold has the same exact value. It is the same with true love. Whether meeting someone they love or meeting an enemy, when they deal with them with consistent true love, that person is a true person. Because of fallen men are false. We often deal with others with discrimination. This proves that I am an extremely false self. The principle teaches us to love Cain more and to love my enemies more than the people I love. Wow, today, keyword is discrimination. Fallen people always discriminate. Even though we are saying we're living for the sake of others, I love you, you love me, sounds good. But fallen men, one of the main problems is discrimination. How can we overcome this kind of discrimination? Discrimination stop. I love my own self more than anything else. This is the issue. Next.
God's love is always fair and true. When dealing with your own children and others' children, do you treat them fairly? Or do you treat them with discrimination? We claim to not discriminate, but we are unable to treat our own children and others' children fairly. We end up discriminating. While living a life of faith, when raising your spiritual children and raising your own physical children, do you love them with the same heart? Or is there some difference? This always becomes a big problem. Even though you have loved Cain until this day, if you love your own children that you gave birth to more than the Cain you have been loving, Satan will surely accuse you. God's love is fair without discrimination. This is like how sunlight shines evenly upon everyone and everything without discrimination.
Yeah, right. When dealing with your own children and others' children, do you treat them fairly? While living a life of faith, and when raising your spiritual children and raising your own physical children, do you love them with the same heart, or is there some difference? Or do you treat them with discrimination? Just now already talking about. Even though you have loved Cain until this day, if you love your own children that you gave birth to more than the Cain you have been loving, Satan will surely accuse you. That's why Archangel accuse God. Hey, God, you love Adam and Eve more than me. if we think from this perspective, we can understand how difficult it is to go on the path of the original mind. How really our standard of the fallen man, not is to reach to really the path of the original mind. Right, my brothers and sisters? God's love is fair without discrimination. This is like how sunlight shines evenly upon anyone and everything without discrimination. Sunlight does not care what kind of your nationality you have, you are enemy or not. The sunlight, it shines, evenly everywhere. That's why God's love is always fair and true. We need to learn this kind of God's love. Next.
People with results of circular movement. True Father taught us that we become people with results of circular movement when we have the heart of seeing my own children as others' children and others' children as my own children. When I look at the standards of loving others' children and loving my own children, I can immediately tell if I am a true or false self. Prior to marriage, the relationship with parents is number one. But once you marry, the husband and wife relationship becomes higher. This is the problem. In elementary school, you value the teacher's words more than your parents' words. You regard the teacher's words as more absolute than the parents' words, so you obey them. The teacher said to come by this time. Today, I am not taking my books. They said to come with money. If you don't give me money, school fee, I won't go to school. Children become very strong in this way. When children place more importance on their relationship in school rather than family relationships, they easily ignore their relationship with their parents.
The Father taught us that we become people with the results of the circular movement when we have the heart of seeing my own children as others' children and others' children as my own children. When I look at the standards of the loving others' children and loving my own children, I can immediately tell if I am a true or false self. And then one of the really good example case in one family, of course, they have their own children, but they have adopted children as well from outside. I really admire that couple. They really love them equally. Really, this is really amazing. That's why we need to train up ourselves. How can we treat people equally? Even though, are the blessed family children, how can I treat them as my own children equally? Maybe we need to love other children more than my own children. When children go to school and have give and receive with friends and teachers outside of the church, they easily value those relationships more than the relationship with their parents. This is a big problem. The fundamental relationship between parents and children, which one is more important than this? When that happens, they gradually become distant from their parents and easily ignore them. I wasn't like that because I love my teacher and this and that, and sometimes ignore my father and mother. I gone through this kind of way. Then I realized that really, what's the most important thing? Because Adam and Eve had a give and take relationship with the archangel, they value the relationship with the archangel more than God, the parents. This is like a violation, heart violation. Humans are always influenced by their environment. And in order to dominate the environment, the fundamental relationship must be valued. My brothers and sisters, today we learn many points, right? Today I talk about God's love is always fair and true. No discrimination. Like a sun, like a moon, like air, we can learn through the nature what is God's true love. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yong, for today's teaching on really how God's love is true and fair and how we can really love each other the way that God loves us. And also betraying God is the greatest sin, right? So I really hope that we learned a lot from Dr. Yong. So thank you so much for today. And for today's morning devotion, we don't have a testimony, but we do have an incredible video. It's a blessing video where blessed couples are sharing their testimonies on the blessing. So if the media team is ready, please go ahead.
My name is Katrin McCarthy. I'm originally from Austria.
And I'm the lucky guy who's her husband. I'm Keith McCarthy. We were wed 40 years ago.
I'm Dave Wolfenberger.
Mitzvah.
Go ahead. Do you want to introduce yourself first? Okay. My name is Diane.
My name is Ilya, and we're the Hack couple.
We got blessed on February 5th.
No.
7th.
There you go.
Okay. February 7th, 2020.
My name is John Lowen. This is my queen, Sandra Lowen. And what I do for a living is figure out the mystery of this woman.
I'm Matthew Breland. I'm 29. I'm a software developer.
I'm Yoshie Manaka. I am 31 years old.
My name's Elizabeth Manaka.
My name is Toshimasa Manaka.
We flew here for our daughter's wedding.
This ceremony in particular, the theme was daffodils. Mother Moon really loves daffodils because they're the first sign of spring and winter. Our parents were married 40 years ago, and I'm getting the sense that like 40 years later, there is like this new coming of hope and life, and it feels very special to be blessed at this time.
The highlight was, I think, just receiving the rings from Mother Moon.
Being in front of Mother Moon, you can feel her heart and really how much she cares for like the whole world. At some point we even cried, like as we were receiving the rings. We felt like that kind of heart, you know, being around her.
You know, being able to see Reverend Mrs. Moon kind of come out there, and you know, she's 78 years old and she's in front of an entire audience of 2,100 couples and who knows how many more thousands, friends and family. It just shows you how important this all is to her. And that just reminds me of really all of the couples that have come before us who have joined on this kind of blessing, ideal, even mission in a lot of ways.
July 1st, 40 years ago, was a hot, humid day in New York City. And here we had thousands of people coming together in Madison Square Garden.
There were a little over 2,000 couples there, and we were all in the same church and we all had the kind of a shared experience.
There was a sea of white gowns and black tuxedos or suits. It was incredible. And back then it was before cell phones, so if you got separated, good luck.
It was a very profound experience for myself, and I'm so grateful to Father and Mother Moon who had this kind of vision to bring people together for world peace. So when I was there, I wasn't thinking so much about my own life, but I was thinking we're contributing to world peace because we are from so many countries and different backgrounds.
The hope that I had when I joined our movement was that I would be able to find an eternal spouse, and that together we would be able to build not just this relationship, but a relationship that went outside of us and to the world.
That marriage ceremony was a changing moment for me. Everybody together, my co-worker and many people together, that really made a supported environment. And yes, we're going to do this.
When we walked into the room where the banner said World Peace Through Ideal Families, I remember feeling a little intimidated by the theme. It was like me, But 2,000 couples bringing harmony together, It's an incredible, powerful force. That awesomeness and holiness and consecration that I think comes at weddings that often makes people cry, makes me cry when I go to a wedding, it was multiplied by 2000.
In the spring of 1976, I was traveling. I visited San Francisco. I was walking through Golden Gate Park, and I was approached by these two women in long wool coats, and they invited me to dinner, and then went for the weekend to study the divine principle, and I was moved by the simplicity and the profundity of it.
When I joined the movement, I really wanted to make a better world. And making a better world definitely has to do with people. And the teaching of the divine principle, which is the theology, it has such a rational explanation about the relationship between the help of God and our ability as human beings.
40 years ago, American hate Japanese. But that group, it's no difference between American and Japanese. They're just we are people. So I really felt it's so meaningful to make this kind of world expand. So then I decided I want to stay American.
We were introduced in 1979, and it took another 3 years before we had the blessing. And we didn't see each other much then. So I would write nice letters to her, see how she's doing, and the letters back were like, I'm very good, I'm doing God's will.
We made a commitment not only each other, but we made a commitment to God. I take care of your daughter or take care of your children. You can't break your promise with God.
Our faith is that God created man and woman to come together in marriage, and when that happens substantially, that is when the two aspects of our heavenly parents come together substantially on the earth.
Father Moon, Mother Moon, both of them emphasized we want to bring happiness not just to ourselves, but for everyone, you know, to build a whole society like this.
We see marriage as an eternal commitment, which you don't really hear much of these days. When people say they're getting married, it's till death do us part. And for most people, that's a long time. I hope I can last that long. And we say it's eternal.
The founders of the Blessing Movement, Father Moon, Mother Moon, I remember seeing their relationship with each other, and it was just so lovely. They would often sing together. And they had really beautiful children. And I do think that having that example and seeing their love came into our own experience as well. But to create that love that I had seen is a harder job than what I was thinking.
The quality of our relationship is increasing. So I would say the answer is divorce. We've divorced each other about 4,000 times. The dude I was 6 months ago, she wouldn't tell. I said, John, you're better than, forget him. I'm divorcing him. Because we don't need that, you know, we pulled the weeds. So unless you're growing, you're gonna get tired of the other person. So I think the solution is growth, baby.
It's part of our faith is that living for others, and many times it's like that in big and small ways. And definitely you have to practice selflessness, otherwise it's not going to work.
When you have somebody that's committed to making you happy and you're committed to making that other person happy, it's so much better than just if you're trying to take happiness from that person.
You know, we have this term blessing, which is something that we're receiving. And it's true that we are receiving something really special, but it's also an incredibly high standard to try to achieve.
Our faith taught us about true love. Like, it's not just about you. It's not just about, you being selfish and saying that, oh, this person has to love me. But it's really like, how can we together live for each other's sake?
No matter how hard it gets, really, this is not just a relationship between you and the other person. The blessing is a relationship between you and the other person and God, right? And no matter if you have arguments, no matter if you have those parts that, it gets tough, that God's going to be there, and we have to be able to work it out together.
I know that the public image of who we are and what we believe is very eye-catching and affronting to a lot of people. And the reality of it, from my experience, is that it's so beautiful. And my, whole community is full of people who really genuinely, want to solve like the world's biggest problems through marriage and families.
To a young child, their parents are everything, and everything else builds from there. But it's really centered on their love for their parents and their parents' love for them. And I think the relationship with God is something like that. It's more primary than anything else.
God, obviously, He does do a lot for us, and we can, depend and lean on Him, but God wants love too. God has all these children, but so many times we've not even coming back to give Him a hug.
So I think with God seeing all those children there at the blessing is like, wow, I'm not alone. My children are there with me, and they're changing this world with me together. So I'm gonna cry, but yeah.
The blessing was really modeled for me in my family and with my parents, and God was so much a part of the fabric of our everyday lives. So naturally, there was nothing else that I wanted but for God to also be a part of, my future marriage as well. And so when I was looking for somebody to spend the rest of my life with, it kind of became very clear that that's the first thing, to make sure that we have the same vision that I saw in my own family, to carry that into this next generation as well. That's what I want.
Marriage is the essence of being a co-creator. It's the greatest creative act when a husband and wife can come together and create children and create a family and create the next generation so that life goes on.
This is David Lowen and Zachary Lowen.
They are universes of their own. You can see God. They're not just toys to cuddle. And what's amazing is, as a 71-year-old, I'm 71 now, right?
Almost 72.
Okay. So as a 71-year-old, having this relationship
You're
with
aging like wine and cheese.
Thank you. Having this relationship with a 7-year-old that is absolutely serious, it brings out a different dimension in me, and it cultivates something else in him.
I hear these stories about children who try to play their parents off against one another, right? They'll ask the mom for a cookie, and the mom says no, and then they go ask their dad, and the dad says, yeah, sure, go ahead. And then they eat the cookie, right? I would have never even thought that was a possibility, because my parents were so on the same page. They were practically the same person to me. And I think that kind of unity is really what God is looking for.
He's from Japan originally. I'm from Texas. You probably couldn't get any cultures further apart. But I think with that vision for the blessing, those cultural differences are minor compared to the power of that.
Sandra was like born-again Christian, from that family. My parents were born-again atheists.
Most people look at us and they go, oh, well, she's black, kids, right?
That's the least of it.
That has nothing to do with it. That was like, oh yeah.
When you're interracial, many people expect the struggles to be, cultural differences or racial backgrounds. But for us, that's not even the problem. The problem is really the family background, how we were raised. Even when it comes to cooking or folding something or
I think cooking has been our biggest struggle.
Cleaning, it's just actually spice my food.
I spice my food too, come on.
My parents were blessed at a time where people still had living memory of World War II. And my grandparents actually fought on opposite sides of the Pacific War. I did get to know one of my grandparents, and she was very opposed to my mother for a very long time, my Japanese mother. But over time, she had grown to really love my mother. And it kind of healed all of that kind of pain that she had in her heart. And not only that, but it helped her to really overcome a lot of the other racial prejudices that she had as a child of her era.
Real peace has to do with people. Often, we say we love humanity, but we might not love the person next to us. It's really by learning to love the person next to us that we can love humanity in a real way.
You have people, when they are happily blessed and experiencing conjugal love the way that God intended to be experienced, then they're confident, they're transformed as individuals, they become better people, and they're able to reconcile with their neighbor because they respect that in their neighbor when they see it.
We want to love each other, that's very important. But we also want to contribute our lives and our marriage for the sake of bringing a wider world that's in harmony and love. And I think that's the blessing movement.
We're so grateful to be part of this cause, and I really wish that this kind of blessing movement can expand throughout the world.
Marriages and families are the building blocks of the future, and without that, society breaks down. And when you have people that are committed to world peace, to bringing God's vision and God's plan into my marriage and my world, that's a big thing.
I think the intention of the blessing is to have that energy of absolute love flowing out, and as we have children flowing around our children, flowing through our grandchildren into their friends and their friends' friends, and so on. What a world we would have.
I think that vision was something that, if anybody could dream, you can't have a better dream than that.
So beautiful, beautiful video. Wow, amazing. Wow.
So incredible. I think from that video, we can really say that the blessing is the key to solving every single world problems that we have. So thank you so much to the media team for making that happen. Let's give them a round of applause again for really doing this. It's really hard to do it. So thank you so much for doing that. And so now we're going to go into our breakouts. We're going to share with each other. If you have any reflection on the video, if you have any reflection from what we received today from Dr. Yong, please share with each other, and we'll see you back in a few minutes. All right, welcome back, everyone. Thank you for sharing in your breakouts. I hope you had incredible sharings with each other as brothers and sisters. And now for our sharing, I would like to invite Uncle Sunny Ebuk, if you could please share with us.
Good morning, everyone. Diane, you didn't say you're gonna call me. Dr. Young, good to see you.
Sunny Ebok, thank you. Sunny, Mooney, thank you.
Yeah, this is my wife, married with Ebok. This is according to the video, which is very powerful. Like I was sharing with Diane, Dr. Young, I haven't seen something like this anywhere else, even though there are some religious groups, Christian, singing aloud, but I haven't seen this anywhere else. People might persecute our unification family. They might say all kinds of things against us, but this is the foundation of the unification family. It's so beautiful. It's so powerful. I haven't seen this anywhere else. Even though we are struggling, a husband and wife, brothers and sisters, as children and parents, when we look about the foundation of true parent blessing, it's absolutely eternal. I'm so proud of it. And the other point Dr. Young was talking about is the idea of discrimination and the children listening to their teachers more than their parents. It's real. This is really what destroying our children as we speak.
Yeah.
It's so fundamental. Dr. Young, I thank you for nailing this, hitting the head, the nail on the head. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you, Sunny. Please say hello to Mooney Ebok as well. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Uncle Sunny, for sharing with us today. And yes, I'm already overwhelmed by the love that I feel. But yes, so for our daily reminders, we want to remind you to really attend with this, artistic kind of heart, really to listen to God's heart, to really listen as couples, as a family, as we always see families here, and also to invite somebody to such an incredible environment where they can even see this kind of video. This is incredible, where they really feel like families and couples are really living for the sake of each other and the sake of God. And we also have transcripts on edu.familyfed.org, so you could head on there and really find videos, even past videos on morning devotion you could share with your friends and family. And you can joyfully give from your heart. We have the link in the chat. As always, our beautiful Tal is always putting the link in the chat, so thank you. And for our musical offering, we have Tomoko Tariq. So please share your music offering with us.
Good morning.
Tomoko-san.
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah. Can hear you.
Yes, good morning. Yes, good morning. Today I want to sing Our Love is Here to Stay from Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald duet. And I sang this song last month for our anniversary to my husband. I'm very happy to see that blessing video today.
Okay.
And then I want to sing today with a two parents picture, my favorite picture from Family Federation calendar. Thank you for Mr. to help me to share this slide. So yes, let's sing. It is very clear our love is here to stay. Not for a year, but ever and a day. The radio and the telephone and the movies that we know may just be passing fancies. Any time may go, but oh my dear, our love is here to stay. Together we're going a long, long way. In time the rockets may crumble, Gibraltar made humble, they only made of clay. But our love is here to stay. Pam, 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 pam. Intermission. Pam, 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 pam. Pam, 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 pa, 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 pam. Pa, pam, 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 pam. Pam, pam, pa, pam, pam, pa, pam. Pa, pam, pam, pa, pam. Pam, pam, pa, pam, pa, 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 pam, pam, pa, pam, pam, pam. Pam, pam, pam. Pam, 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 pam. Oh, my dear, our love is here to stay. Together we're going a long, long way. In time the rockets may crumble, Gibraltar may tumble, they only made of clay, but forever and a day, our love is here to stay. Our love is here to stay. Thank you.
Wow, 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 wow. Our Tomoko, thank you for your really sweet song. Today you are so beautiful and very cute. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tomoko-san, for that beautiful song, Love is Here to Stay, right? It's such an incredible song for today's theme, today's video, so thank you so much. I don't know if you chose it based on the video, but it was incredible to hear, so thank you. Thank you so much for offering your song this morning. And now to close in prayer, could I please invite Dr. Tyler Hendricks, if you don't mind closing us off in prayer?
Okay, thank you, Diane. Let's bow our heads and share our hearts with our Heavenly Parent, with our true parents who love us so much. We're thankful and grateful for this day. It's always a wonderful day when we are together with you. Even when we go through difficulties and suffering, disappointments, we stay grateful. As true mother, feel more grateful today than yesterday. Heavenly Parent, we're more grateful every day. And our gratitude is overflowing because you gave us true parents. You gave us life. You gave us your love. And you implanted within us your lineage, Heavenly Parent. And it is our mission to share this with the entire world, with the nation, with the community that we are part of, with our own family, without prejudice, without any kind of discrimination, completely living for the sake of others first, what others first, as true parents have done. We thank you that you have given us such inspiration. We offer our hope and our energy for the victory in Japan, the victory in Eastern Europe right now, and victory in America right now, to make the model church, the model community, the model nation, elder brother nation, that can care for our parent nations, Japan and for Korea, unification of the fatherland, motherland, Heavenly Parent. We thank you so much. Our hearts are overflowing with gratitude. We offer you this day and ourselves with it. And I report this in the name of Tyler and Yong Hendricks, the Central family. Aju.
Aju, thank you so much, Dr. Hendricks. Yeah, you're true Heavenly Parents. You gave us true parents. As long as true mother is alive, we can solve any problems. Thank you so much, Dr. Hendricks. 감사합니다. Thank you, everyone.
Aju. As long as true mother is alive, we can solve any problem. I love that. Thank you so much. And thank you, Dr. Tyler Hendricks, for that beautiful, beautiful prayer. It was good seeing you. And brothers and sisters, it is time to close our morning devotion for today. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you tomorrow for another inspiring and incredible morning devotion. Bye-bye.
네, 감사합니다. Have a nice Saturday.